Hey y'all, Russ here, RVerTV. Welcome. Check it out. We are trucking up old Highway 95 right now. Gonna take a little 3-day road adventure. This is the great state of Nevada. Figure out what town's coming up? Any guesses? Tiny little town in the middle of nowhere called Searchlight. Right here on 95. About another 40-50 miles up the road to be Las Vegas, but we're not going up there. We're gonna cut across. We're heading to Death Valley. Yay! It's all over the news channels and internet. There's a super bloom going in Death Valley. We're gonna go see it in person. How about that? I need to stop, grab some fuel, then we'll head that way. Alrighty, about half mile up the road here, we're gonna cut across Nevada. We're heading to actually Death Valley's in California. I'm gonna spend tonight in Shoshone, right outside the park, and then I thought in the morning, tomorrow morning, we'll cruise on in. We're gonna go in the back way through Badwater. But they have a super bloom going below sea level. They said first time in a decade, and some say in 20 years, they haven't seen a bloom like this. All right, make a left here. I believe this is Nevada 164. This is gonna cut us across to I-15. I'll have to do about 30 miles on the freeway. Then we'll cut up on into Shoshone. Been 2 or 3 years since I've been up this way. This highway here is actually called Joshua Tree Highway. There are Joshua trees everywhere. Kind of like the perfect elevation, climate for them. Kind of cool. And we even go through like a little ghost town. We'll stop there called Nipton. Should be about 20 so miles up the road. Little RV park there. Searchlight, there ain't much here. Mining. This entire area is just honeycombed with mines. I believe silver was the big mineral here. All right, sit back. Let's do it. Joshua trees as far as you can see. What's this sign? Walking Box Ranch. historical marker there. I have to research that. If I remember right, there's a pull-out up here. You can actually camp. You can dry camp in some of these areas. Car got stuck there. That's a heck of a place to be, way out. You're talking about out in the middle of nothing. We're here. Alright, where's that turn? Should be right up here. Yep, here it is. Cool. Let's take a break. I gotta change camera batteries too. Ooh. I see a tiny bit of color here in the desert. It's dry though. Look how dry everything looks. Alright. Let's take a little walk. Well, some of that brittle brush hadn't bloomed out yet. There's a little color. It will bloom here some. You know, that was my thought last night when I decided to pull the trigger and head up here. If it's blooming in Death Valley, we gotta catch some of it today going up to Shoshone. Boy, these Joshua trees, they're half dead, aren't they? You know, when they grow, one like that's 200 or 300 years old. They grow really slow. See, part of it's laying there. Just lack of rain. Definitely had droughts. And I believe right up this little dirt road you can camp. There's a little flat area up here. There you go. A little bit of greenery. Well, this is the time we're on the hunt. A little bit up in Oatman. Parker Dam Road had a few. They call it limited use area. I see a trailer back there or something. So you can dry camp here. Probably regular rules, 14-day, whatever. Dispersed camping. Big old grate. Keep the cattle in. Alright, well, so far so good. Tomorrow we're supposed to have a lot of wind. Every time I ever go up to Death Valley, the wind blows. I don't care. We're going anyway. What else are we going to do the first week of March, yeah? First week of March already. Don't those just look cool how they grow? Almost like a pine needle in a way, isn't it? Alright, let me get geared up. We'll be right back on the road. get ready for it. This should be coming up about right here. I don't see a sign yet. There it is. We are leaving Nevada. Crossing state lines right here. You can see how the road changes, color of the road. And we are in California. Making our way up to Shoshone, tomorrow's Death Valley. Yay. Alright, this little oasis of trees up here, it's a old town called Nipton. Used to be really active. I'll stop. I think they got a storyboard left. But pretty much it's boarded up, abandoned town. There's an old cop car with graffiti on it. There is a RV park here. People live here still. Just, there's some old cars there. Just all the businesses closed up. There was a hotel, I guess, for years. I think COVID really took a toll on this place too, and just the cost of living in this state. Right there to the left. Oop, I see the marker, history marker, and a storyboard. We'll walk over. We'll stop for a minute. Park up here next to the tracks. Looks like an old depot building up there. Trains probably just come whizzing through here. There's their RV park. I see rigs. People might live here. You know, you're not super far from Vegas here. Once you go up to I-15, just truck north. Be right back into Vegas. More trucks. They can cut through here. You miss going into Vegas. Between what, Searchlight and I-15. Magical Nipton. Yeah, they had a hotel here going. 1905 established. To think back then what happened around here. There's their old hotel. Everything's boarded up. Stores and gift shops. Too bad someone doesn't come in and reopen some of this, huh? Big old tree. That's been around since 1905. And here's their marker for the town. Railroad built this town. Stores, post offices, that walking box, that was a big cattle ranch, gold mining, everything here. Just a tremendous amount of history. And look at this. We got storyboards. Claim to fame in 1870, 2 wagon trains drove a stake in the ground, formed this town. Railroad came through. Then it started booming here. Clara Bow, silent movie actress, and her husband bought the Walking Box Ranch as a retreat to get away from Hollywood. I'll be darned. Look at her eyes. My goodness. Silent movie store. Some more old pictures of the store. Looks like a politician on the back of a train. Says here too in 85, that's 1985, that's when the town started declining. Ton of history here, isn't it? And the big Mojave Desert Preserve. We're just on the very north end of that. Someday I'll go through there. It runs between I-40 and Highway 15 up here. Huge area. And well, we got the tortoise. Gotta protect the tortoise. Well, cool little stop. If you're ever driving through here, stop, check out these storyboards. If their stores are open, I'd definitely buy something. Help support it, but they probably don't get enough people stopping. Be a good wintertime escape, snowbirding. You don't want to be here in the summer. These deserts really heat up. And the wind blows. Alright, that van says, hey, let's get rolling here. Neat old town though, what history. Silent movie stars and cattle ranches, gold mining, stagecoaches. Pretty darn cool. Alright, well, next stop will be Baker, California. I'm gonna right up the road, have to jump on I-15. I won't bore you with that. So, next stop, Baker. Made it. Welcome to Baker, California, right off I-15. This is one big truck stop town. Kind of reminds me of Quartzsite in a way. All the trucks. There's their big alien restaurant, jerky place. Also, they have the world's tallest thermometer. I'll stop. We'll get a little look at it. Take a break a minute. Park in here with the trucks. That was one man's dream to build that thing. Then it kind of went away and his family repurchased it. There's a huge backstory on this thermometer. It's a gift shop and a little restaurant. It was on PBS, like a documentary about it. It was built in the early 90s. Then it blew down the following year. Then the guy rebuilt it. I think all out of his own pocket. Because there's a record in Death Valley back in the early 1900s, 134 degree temperature. Like 1913 or something. But then the power cost, the electricity bill was so outrageous the guy had to shut it down. He went broke. And he got sick, but his family repurchased it. Now it's LED lights, it's more affordable. Now it's a staple here. So there's a ton of history. If you look on Google, I probably missed a few things, but it's still here. The world's tallest thermometer. In Death Valley, it's to the north, probably, 60 miles? It's a perfect day today. But they say the winds tomorrow. Every time I come up here, it's always windy. It don't matter though. Not gonna blow the flowers away. And there's a gift shop not open right now. You'd think that would be. It's afternoon. Well, one last look at this monster. Well, if it was open, I'd buy a drink or something. Oh well. Okay, well. Get in a van. There's an RV park I've stayed before in Shoshone. I booked a site there. Hopefully on the way up, we'll find some wildflowers. If they're in Death Valley, I mean, we'll be right outside the park. Hopefully we'll find something. There's a look at downtown Baker. Ain't much. Doesn't this remind you of Quartzsite? Not in a bad way. All good. Just all the trucks. Alright, on the way up towards Shoshone, we'll pass some sand dunes. Might find something there. Here's a little store. Gas stations everywhere here in the store. And a few cafes. Ooh, big old RV park. So if you get tired, spend the night. Then the Mad Greek has a massive parking lot there too. That's what the sign said. Alright, this drive here, it is flat, desert, open. Once you get up a ways, we'll get near mountains. But we're in the hunt for wildflowers. Let's see what we can find. Next service is 57 miles, so that means it's 57 miles up to Shoshone. Yay. Wow, look at all the trees in there. Them things take a ton of water. These must be like little apartments or something up here. Okay, we're committed now. Let's head to the desert. See how flat and open it is? I haven't seen any color, not even any greenery yet. It's dry here. Look at this, one lonely tree all by its lonesome out here. Otherwise, there ain't a tree in sight. Big power lines that cross the desert, Mojave here. There's dirt roads that kind of follow along. There's a semi parking, some guy unloading a 4x4. They probably do maintenance on the lines. Up here a little ways, you can camp. That off-highway vehicle sand dune place, Dumont, I think. Can't remember. We'll find out. I'll stop up there. What's this sign? Let me pull off a second. What does it say? It's a marker. Old Spanish National Historic Trail. Must cross through here. Huh. I mean, back in the day, you had a wagon with horses. Now we got horsepower in a vehicle. Ooh. Maybe there's a flower in here. This must be the trail, maybe, huh? That'd be something. To cross this Mojave Desert like that, my goodness. And it's windy. The winds are picking up. Old Spanish Trail right here. Hey, color. Yay. I'll take it. We're going to see a lot better than that. I've seen the pictures online people are taking right now in Death Valley, and it looks pretty phenomenal. There's a tiny little white flower all by its lonesome. It's probably all the moisture it had to grow one. And he has no company. Not out here. All right. We'll head out of here. So here, this must be the old trail. That's cool. It's marked. I'll have to look that up. Because that marker, I don't remember it. I'm sure it's been here. Probably just drive past. See, you never know what you're going to find unless you stop. Here's 1, 2, and a couple white ones alongside the road. We're just waiting for us right here. That's cool. All right. Everyone in the van, we're out of here. Caltrans out working on the roads. Well, looks like we got to stop a minute. All that white stuff, that's salt and that borax, I believe, coming out of the ground. You know, I was thinking there's a little side road up here. We can cut through Tecopa Hot Springs. Maybe we'll find a few flowers there. It's right next to Shoshone. Then also in Shoshone, there's a museum we can stop. That's got to be a lonely, hot job to hold a stop sign up out on this road in the middle of nothing. He's even got a little traffic light there. Looks like they're regrading the edge of the road. Tremendous rains. Big storms rolled through here. That's what created the flowers. The super bloom up in Death Valley was torrential rains. Looks like they're adding drainage rocks, cleaning out the washes. So it must flood through here pretty good. Alright, here's the dunes. Huge sand dunes out here. Pretty sure they got camping. I've stopped here once before. I'm not taking the van out there though. Forgot my tow truck today. I gotta switch out camera batteries and let's read storyboards. There's actually flowers in the sand here. Right around the concrete. Dunes in motions. Yeah, the wind always blows. But they allow off-road vehicles here. That one sign says fees. Pretty sure you can camp. I've never really done that. Been out in the dunes. I know you'd need the different tires, big paddle tires, whatever. There it is. Off-highway vehicle recreation area. It's huge, isn't it? Big map tells you where you can go and can't. Rules and regulations. Pack it in, pack it out. See? Purple. We found flowers. Maybe we'll see a few more up the road. That's cool. Right in the sand here. There is no dirt, that's for sure. Little white ones. Someone wrote in the comments, back east they call these weeds. Yeah, well, out here we call them wildflowers. Hey, it's a desert, what can you say? Alright, well, what do you say? Let's roll. Seen a couple 4x4 rigs out there, like pickup trucks with small truck campers on them. They're camping out there. Alright, well, here we go. We're about halfway up the Shoshone. Probably got another half hour or so. But I really think I'm going to run through those hot springs, see if we can find anything. Because over there, they got water. Oh, you know what? There's blooms all over here. They kind of blend in with the dirt. I gotta stop. I'm gonna stop right here. Look at all of them. In the sand and the rock. And they go out quite a ways, just not alongside the road here. All the yellow ones. Some more of those little purple things like we seen back at the storyboards. see the yellow? I know they kind of blend with the sand, but they're in there. They go way out, all the way. You can just see the color. Cool. Even over there. Make sure I don't get run over here. Just a covering of yellow. I mean, rainfall here, they get like an inch a year. I mean, it's not much. And for them to be flowering in the sand, there's no dirt here. Rock and sand. Well, pretty darn cool. All right, well, let's keep rolling. See what else I can find. Getting a little cloud cover. Farther north we're getting. I see colors. Camera's probably not picking it up too well. If I find a spot, I'll pull off. Oop, there's a bunch. Let's take a little peek here. Those are different. The white ones got white, yellow, purple. Now, alongside of the road, I mean, these soils have been disturbed, so they've probably soaked up more water. But we're finding them now, farther north we're getting. And doesn't the desert look greener? All the shrubs. Zoom in on those. Those are different. Kind of like fluorescent. You got little dots in the middle of it. Not sure of the names. too cool for school. We're finding them on our way up Death Valley in the morning. Yay. All right, we're about 12 miles out from Tecopa Springs, Hot Springs. I just programmed it in the phone. Let's take a little side trip up here. Here's a big patch of them. They're getting thicker farther north we get. Then with all the hot springs around here, they got water. Desert's a lot greener. See them up on the hillside? All right, well, let's head up a little farther, see what else we can find, but they're around. Yay. All right, I think this is Tecopa. There's their post office. Got FedEx here. I don't know if they got a store down here. We'll drive up through the hot springs. Cuts us back over the main highway. A little weather station there. Sleepy desert town, man. Could you imagine living here? It would be hot. Whew. This is hardcore desert. Well, looks like a little cafe, pizza or something. All right. All right. Cut back up to the hot springs, right into Shoshone. It's getting on right now, close to 2:30 in the afternoon. I did go through a time change, which that ends, I think, in a couple days, the time change. Spring forward, fall back. Change the clocks. Arizona, we don't. Stays the same year round, which is nice. I don't know why the rest of the country don't do that. Wow, look at all that salty borax, whatever they call that stuff, coming out of the ground. Death Valley's is covered in it. That's part of the history here. All these little towns. Oh my goodness. That entire hill is covered in yellow. Oh, we gotta stop up here. Found some. Well, I think this is what we're going to be seeing on Death Valley. Elevation right here in Tecopa, I don't know. We're definitely not below sea level, but can't be too far above it. There's patches of yellow as far as you can see. How unusual. Well, they say it's record setting. Even across the road over here. Cool. Alright, well, let's head into Shoshone. Cut through Hot Springs. They got RV parking here. Hot springs at all their little campgrounds. I don't know of all. Really don't know a bunch about this place, but every time I drive through it, everything kind of looks closed. There it is, Tecopa Hot Springs. There's a few rigs in here, probably snowbirds. Probably the closest place to get supplies would be Shoshone or all the way into Pahrump. That'd be a little bit of a drive from here, probably at least 30-40 miles. But Pahrump, Nevada, that's a pretty big town. Quite a few signs, few rigs there. But if they all have the hot springs, you can enjoy the water, why not? Yeah. Probably included in the fee to camp. And just like that, yay, back to the main road. That was cool. That one hillside was just covered. Preview of coming attractions in Death Valley. Yay. Alright, back on California 127 here. We only got about 3-4 miles up to Shoshone. Doesn't that look like snow? It snowed here, but it didn't. Hey, for more information on my travels, be sure to check out my website, RVerTV.tv. There you can sign up free newsletter, put one out once a month now. Also, we got all kinds of articles, downloadable puzzles, all kinds of cool things once you get over to the website. And we got a merch shop, Armchair Traveler Series, last year's Heck Yeah merch is still out. Also, we're coming up with some brand new 2026 merch as well, which helps support the channel and future videos just like this one, Chasing Wildflowers, up here in the mighty Mojave Desert, Death Valley, and all these unique areas. Isn't this just cool? Once again, it's RVerTV.tv, and I appreciate it very much. Alright, we made it. Shoshone, California. They got a gas station here and a museum. If it's open, I'll go in it. Last time I was in there, they had some really cool fossils. There's a little sheriff's station here. Kind of a oasis in the desert. There ain't a whole lot here, and then their RV park's nice. I've stayed there before. That's where I'm camping tonight. There's the cafe. Museum's open. Let me get turned around here. They got a motel. And this puts us just outside the park, Death Valley National Park. Because in the morning there's a road right up about a mile up, and we'll cut in through Badwater, which that's about 40 or 50 miles of back roads all the way through the park below elevation. That's where all the wildflowers are supposed to be. All right. Get parked here and we'll take a little walk. And market, liquor store, a few murals on the building, palm trees. Think this is the desert? Heck yeah. There's the sheriff's station. That's an active substation for the sheriff's department. This restaurant, it's called the Crowbar. Probably got good food. There's a museum, gift shop, visitor center. We'll go in there in just a second. They have water here, even though this is such a harsh place. Down in Furnace Creek, we'll be there tomorrow. They got a golf course. They absolutely have a golf course there. Railroads, hot springs. There's some barrel cactus. Pretty neat little stop, isn't it? And mining. Oh my goodness. Death Valley's famous for mining.
Where'd Robbie go?
Across the street.
Okay, we got a Holly now. Shipping container with the rest of that. You got the keys to that? Nope.
She does.
No, we have the keys to the shipping container. You have the keys to the truck.
No.
Well, I mean, you can just.
Local history, residents. This is California, you never know. That was something back in Nipton, that a silent movie actress. Real Shotgun Kitty. Wow. In Pahrump.
Hi, folks.
Pictures of the old station here. Looks like they moved the building here. It's been a gift shop a long time. Museum. My wife is boss. That's a heck of a sign. She probably made him do that, huh? No, I'm teasing. And it's like community artifacts, old pictures, families that lived here all their lives. School kids from way back. Here you go. When the desert went dry, get the still going. Oh yeah, make you some good stuff. What else you gonna do in Death Valley? Tecopa and the hot springs. We were just through there. Look at all of them. Healing waters. Last year I went to the Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. That was something, seeing them buildings.
It does, but you know, they don't want to
A
have
bit of the railroad history here.
instills such fear in everybody.
What built these towns was a railroad.
This is bad.
Lake Tecopa. Those are huge fossils found here locally. That's something you don't expect to see in a tiny little town like this. Big displays. Camel prints, ancient camel prints found in the lake beds here. Go figure. That's something. Giant camels were here. Ton of local history here with all the fossils, huh? Only a few million years ago, just like yesterday. There's the crystallized culminate. Part of that borate salt comes out of the ground. That is a big crystal, isn't it? More of the different samples. For a small town museum. That's quite a bit to have in here. All right, well, I hear that RV park site calling my name. I'm ready to get off the road. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Old original gas pumps. Back when it was 30 cents a gallon. That's what it says in there. Not anymore. And then some old rusted up cars. Here's another mural in the front of this station here. I thought there'd be more people around with the super bloom going. Of course, it's midweek. And here's the reason I filled up, topped off in Searchlight, Nevada. Look at those fuel prices, huh? Ouch. I'm good to go. My van has over a 500-mile range when I'm full. Well, this is a 3-day trip. This is only night 1. Tomorrow we're actually heading into the national park. Then tomorrow night, if I can't get a place in Furnace Creek, I'll just cut a route back into Nevada or whatever. Then we're going to go back in the park a second time. So it should be epic. Right here is Shoshone RV Park. Stayed here before. Very nice, clean little park. Always had a good experience here. Very excited about our next video. Chasing down that super bloom in Death Valley. How about that? That'll be historic. Journey never ends. Talk soon.